partnering with more individuals, I think there's going to be more opportunities. And I do think that as we collectively, like the Far East Side, as we begin to pull together and find new ways to partner, I think that is going to be the key for all of us, moving into, the next 3 years of what that looks like.
Welcome to Six Pillars in Action, a podcast that takes you inside the work, the people, and the purpose behind one of the most meaningful investments in African American communities right here in Indianapolis. In each episode, we sit down with leaders, partners, and change makers connected to the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative to talk about what's happening, why it matters, and how real transformation is taking shape across our city. Whether you're a community member, an organization doing the work, or someone who simply wants to understand how change happens, this conversation is for you.
Welcome back to another episode of the Six Pillars in Action podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Douglas, and on this podcast, we take an in-depth look at the incredible work of the IAAQLI, or the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative. Today, we are here with another amazing grantee, Christy from Skilled US. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, super excited to have you here. So I thought I was going to learn about something else, and now I'm learning about Skilled US, which I'm excited about because I haven't heard about. So please tell us about Skilled US. Tell us what you do, how you were founded.
Absolutely. So we were founded in 2021 by Earl Martin Phelan. We are part of the Phelan Leadership Academy. So if you're driving around town and you see a elementary school that has Phelan on it, that's one of our schools. In Indiana, we have 7 schools, and we are opening one more up in Gary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this fall. So very exciting. So as Earl was working through kind of his long-term vision, we were founded specifically to assist families moving in from, any different area where our schools are, and moving from, economic hardship, moving into sustainability with finding careers and jobs, the things that families need to really be successful.
Yeah.
One of the things that we found is when our scholars have the opportunity to have mom and dad, aunt and uncle employed, what they're learning at school takes on a whole new avenue.
Yeah.
And so as we began this journey in 2021, I think our first year we served a little under 100 students. As we're moving into this new phase where Skilled US is providing the programming in our building, we're able to control outcomes to make sure that, every single dollar that we have coming in the door for workforce development, that our students take that, they learn the training, we provide the workforce skills that they need, and then we stay with them for an entire year afterwards to make sure they are on their feet and that the career that they chose is going to be sustainable and fulfills the mission of what Earl set out in, for 2021. So.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. So I didn't know. So you guys are heavily present here on the Far East Side then?
Very much so,
oh,
yes.
Okay, yeah. So and tell us about, so this is a partnership just between you all and Phelan. Are you only with Phelan?
No, so we are
Okay.
open to the community. So
Okay.
Phelan, obviously, a sister organization where, we have that tight connection. But no, we are open to the community. About a year and a half ago, we opened our doors fully to the community.
Okay.
We at one point only served our families. So as we have grown and gratefully found funding in different ways, we were able to serve more individuals. So as we move into this new phase, we serve everything from high school students. So we have a total of 4 high schools that come to our programming in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we serve any and all the way till 9 p.m. every night.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, that's amazing. So, okay, you mentioned funding, so we might as well get into it. When you saw this opportunity with IAAQLI, I'm assuming you guys saw, alignment with what they were trying to do and the work that you're also trying to do. So tell us about that. Tell us about, what pillar you all applied for and how that process was for you.
Absolutely. So we're grateful to be a second time awardee. And as we moved into this grant cycle, The work that we're doing, we see so many individuals who are underserved, underemployed. Obviously, the pillar we went into was specifically for workforce. But what we found was, specifically with this grant, is there are many times that individuals, let's say a state funding comes across and we're able to meet a training goal. There's often many barriers that come along with that. And so specifically this funding allows us to address all the barriers that come along with the training so that the individual can maybe have, the opportunity to have funding and money coming in the door while they're in training, or childcare or transportation or so on. I think that the moment that you pair the support with training, you really fulfill that ecosystem of an individual saying, hey, I can do this. And I think that's probably, as we look at the last 3 years, that has been the reason why we have grown, and that's the success piece of it. The first grant cycle, we saw tremendous growth in our students because we never had that barrier support. And so as we've grown into this next opportunity, we have then also looked at other, funding sources to pair it with to stretch our funding, and partnerships. We're very big about partnerships. Any times that we can, move in with another program to maybe they're doing one thing versus another. That's how we stretch our funding.
And how have you seen these dollars specifically with the IAAQLI really show up in individuals' lives? Like, do you have any stories, like individual stories about how this funding has shown up?
Absolutely.
Especially those barrier funds that you were talking about.
Yeah, we have so many stories. One story very specifically, there was a gentleman by the name of Ira. Ira had come through many different barriers. A lot of things in his past kept him stuck. We were able to provide him the front end support. So, how do you be a good human being? How do you show up at work? How do you do those those monumental things that keep you employed, right? Put him through the training. While he was in training, he experienced, some things that would have normally kept someone stuck, drop out, whatever. And then throughout the end of the training, we were able to pair him with Department of Transportation. And as we paired him with the Department of Transportation, he not only went in for employment, but he is now, on his own. He has a family now, like all the amazing things that came along with that. We could have never done that with just state funding.
Yeah.
It took another partnership to really take that story and move it to the next level.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And what about you all's team? So like, how did you guys start, and then like where are you guys at now, like growth wise?
Yeah. So when I joined Phelan Leadership at that time, because we were at that point where PLA University, we were in a very small room in James and Rosemary Phelan High School, and it was very red. I'll never forget it. But as we were in that room, we pitched big visions, and there were a total of 3 of us at that time. As we are today coming up on serving 1,400 students this year. We have a staff of 32 between part-time and full-time. And, not only is our staff very diverse, but they bring a world of knowledge. We have people from every background, every opportunity. And again, without funding like this, we would not be able to do all the things we do with the staff that we have.
Yeah, yeah. And I wanted to go in just a little bit about the partnerships that you mentioned earlier, and like how those are showing up in this process and in you all's growth as well.
Definitely. So it was funny because at the awardee, I don't know, whatever, it was a luncheon. We sat at the table, and I literally unintentionally just picked a table and sat amongst us, individuals like Tracy Jackson from 16 Tech. Those are the kind of partnerships that have taken our story to the next level. So being very vulnerable and open about the challenges we have faced in the last couple years have allowed other partners to come in and say, hey, let us help you.
Yeah.
So not only on, the funding side, but the partnership side, and as well as the leadership side, we have dove into really better understanding what makes a good leader. And every single one of the individuals that are in our organization, we treat each individual as a leader because they truly are in the role.
Yeah. And how do you guys, so how do you envision sustainability of you all's program and being able to sustain that growth beyond, now?
Right, right. Well, and this is definitely a year, this is a storybook year. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
For all of us.
Yeah.
So funding's been very interesting. I think that as we look at our portfolio of funding, what we try to do is partner and braid. So every opportunity, if we need childcare, if we need this or that, we look at other partners and say, hey, what do you have that then we can also trade off for something we have? So whether it be, transportation support or so on, another good partner of ours is Indigo. And we were fortunate to win a small grant through them this year to help our
awesome.
students with transit.
Yeah.
But as we look at kind of the bigger picture, and we're, partnering with more individuals, I think there's going to be more opportunities. And I do think that as we collectively, like the Far East Side, as we begin to pull together and find new ways to partner, I think that is going to be the key for all of us, moving into, the next 3 years of what that looks like. Braiding funding is how we have made it through this year.
Yeah.
And we're really grateful for the state, federal, and then the philanthropy side.
You talked about how this is a storybook year, and it's like a nightmare year for a lot of us.
I was trying to be kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you see that changing the work at all, or the way that you guys have been able to show up? Do you see it impacting that at all?
I do. I think for us, it was a very eye-opening moment to where, hey, we have a lot of partnerships. We have a lot of training partners. How could we work with them to take the partnerships, make sure they're sustainable, we're sustainable, but do more on our own as far as things that I think, like training and so on. We have a lot of brilliant people in our building. Why aren't we using them? So we're getting creative. We have a lot of conversations going on with training partners that we have used of how do we collaborate? How do they get more individuals? How do we get more individuals? And collectively, how do we take our story and how do we take the individual stories that we have and elevate them to bring more partners in and bring more participants?
Yeah. So let's talk about that with the participants. How do they find you? How do people get connected to the program?
Yeah. So first, obviously, we have our website, which is skilledus.org. And on there, between partnerships, employers, and any type of partners that we have, it's really easy to find us. But also, I will say, like in the community, we're grateful to have a lot of partners that refer over to us. So we're always looking for community-based organizations where we can provide them a benefit by training individuals. And then, they do what they do. And I will say we have some fantastic partnerships. A lot of people are like, oh, you do what so-and-so does. And I always look at that of, no, actually, we're an extension of what they do.
Yeah.
We look at every partner as we're not in competition, but what do we do well and how do we elevate each other?
I mean, you talked about it earlier about us needing like this ecosystem. And I think a lot of people want to believe that they're the solution, but in truth, we're all just a solution.
Absolutely.
And it's going to take all of these pieces to kind of make a full story for people, especially when you're serving folks. I think people don't realize like how complex that can get.
Right.
You may have a singular goal, but it may take 10 different connections for that person to get to that one goal.
Right.
I was thinking about that while you were talking, like that I always love people who lean deeply into collaboration and how this works, not just for right now while people are with your program, but what about when they're not with you anymore?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, as we look at the family, like think about how much a family has changed, the dynamics in the last 10 years, right? We have all these key moments that have happened in America and in the world. I think family units are tighter. I think that the more we have the opportunity to serve a whole family unit, I don't think there's one partner who could serve a whole family unit.
Yeah.
I think that's important for us to kind of dive in and really our model is built off that. So we have, our K through 12s, which is Faith and Leadership. We have Summer Advantage, which is our, where we address Summer Slide, and that is an enrichment program. And then, hey, mom and dad, aunt, uncle, while your kids are doing this, why don't you look at, potentially scaling up? The key piece of that is, there's gaps in every program.
Yep.
What are the partners who can help come alongside and fill those gaps? Because they have a missional goal too.
Yeah.
And the more we meet all of our missional goals, the better the community will be.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so grateful y'all are in the Far East Side.
Yeah, definitely.
Selfishly. So tell us that website one more time.
Yeah, it's skilledus.org. And all of our information is on there. And we're also on, every fun social media, but we're not on TikTok yet. I haven't heard about that yet. I've heard some rumblings from some interns we have coming in.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we're found.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. I love learning about this. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
And thank you all for watching. We will be right back with another segment on the Six Pillars in Action podcast.
Coming up next on the Six Pillars in Action podcast, we'll continue our conversation with IAAQLI leaders. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and visit the IAAQLI website to learn more about the incredible work being done and how you can get involved.
Welcome back to the Six Pillars in Action podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Douglas, and we are back with another guest, another grantee, Kendra Knoll from CAFE, as we lovingly call it, but it's actually the Community Alliance of the Far East Side.
Yes.
So first of all, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Super excited to have you here. And I guess we'll start off by just telling us about CAFE, how it started, how you've come into power, because now you're the CEO. And I'm super curious to know, like, what in the line, like, how many CEOs has there been and stuff since it started?
Yeah, I have to kind of ponder on that, but happy to be here on this podcast, and definitely with you, Samantha, all of the work that we do together in the community on the Far East Side, in the city as a whole. This is my first time being on a podcast, so
I love it.
But you and I, we just speak naturally, so I love that. But CAFE is a community center-focused nonprofit organization on the Far East Side of Indianapolis. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for residents on the Far East Side, and we do that by providing programming, services, basic income support, connecting to resources for the residents and the youth for the community.
Yeah. And I love that. I was sitting here as I was saying how long, because CAFE was founded when?
In 1997.
1997.
And been in that building since 1997. Well, its founding was a little bit before that under a different name. They were located at 38th and Midhofer in a strip there, but kind of what you know as today of CAFE, where we're located at 38th and Post Road since 1997. I think if I'm doing... I think I might be the fifth CEO of the organization, but I am the first Black CEO of the organization. Yes.
I love that you're, and of course it's a woman because.
Yes.
Because. But super excited. That's what I was wondering. I was trying to count too. I was trying to think, are you 4 or are you 5? So that's so exciting. And it's so, sometimes we get like newer organizations on here. So it's excited to hear of one that's been present and active in the community for so long and still thriving and growing.
Yes.
Like you guys, I think that's one of the things that I really love that since you've come in, you guys have grown so much. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, we have grown. So just a little bit about my background. I am from the east side of Indianapolis. I always tease and say, before this Far East Side wording was in existence, it was East Side, West Side. And born and raised on the east side. I still live on the east side of Indianapolis, kind of more the northeast side within Lawrence School District. But my whole life within the same zip code of CAFE, not even 5 minutes from CAFE. I grew up at 40th in Arlington. I went to Tech High School. Didn't want to go to Arlington. Went to Tech. We were bused out to Tech.
We forgive you.
No, I forgive all others. But I used to work at the Foot Locker, Washington Square Mall, when that was the mall to be. I always let people know, I was born at Community East Hospital. So, for my first breath of life was out here on the Far East Side. So I think when I came to CAFE as our Chief Program Officer, I was in that role for 10 months, and then I was asked to step up to be the CEO. But I was able to bring partnerships and collaborations. There was a trust factor with me, with the partners, because I've been in nonprofit management now for 22 years.
Wow.
And I was really able to bring a lot of those relationships with me. And then there was trust factor from the community, because I am from the community. So I think that was a foundation that allowed for a lot of the growth and more visibility, and people understanding really also what cafe is, some of that awareness.
Yeah, I think there was a sense of like, and this is no shade to anybody else, but there was just a sense of like heart and compassion that came back too.
Yes.
That I think was a part of cafe early on, and somewhere along the way we just kind of got into probably just serving people over and over again. It just kind of got a little cold or something. It felt like you brought a little warmth back.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
And I always say I'm human. There's not many struggles that people that come through our doors that I have not experienced myself.
Right.
And am not naive to the fact that could be back, at some point in life. So I lead with that compassion and understanding. We are all just, 1 foot away from what could be a tragedy. Yeah. But also with that, I don't like for cafe, I think that was a space that it led in. I wanted us to lead in pride of the community. We are here for support, but we are the community, and there's pride that comes with the Far East Side as well.
Yeah. So I want to get into IAQLI, of course.
Yes.
So getting into that funding. So when you seen this opportunity come up, did you guys already have programs you thought, this fit for, or did you guys see it and get inspired, like, we want to do this thing now that there's funding? Like, how did that go for you all?
So we already had programming in mind when doing this type of work in the community where we are, where there are a lot of barriers, a lot of just things that are not equitable. There, you have a wish list that just stays living. So we had a wish list. This opportunity seemed to be rooted in almost trust-based philanthropy, and then also being that it really wanted to touch the Black community in Indianapolis, and that is, our community. The majority of our residents are Black on the Far East Side. So we wanted to take a stab at it and see within that first round. At that point, we didn't know that you could apply for more than one area. So we applied for employment and we received it. And then we learned we can apply in other areas at the same time. So I think we didn't apply in round 2. We applied in round 3, or maybe I might have it vice versa. But we applied for a few of them. And then at that point, we received 3 awards that round. And then within this final round, we have received 2 more that are active right now. So 6 awards. Wow. We were awarded a little north of $1.3 million across various areas. And without this funding, a lot of the programming that is now annual programming, and that's we were able to sustain it, and that has been really fundamentally changing for a lot of our clients or residents, would not be established today if it wasn't for the opportunity of the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative.
So tell us about specifically what these funds went to. You say you guys applied for employment initially, but what has this funding been able to do for you all?
Yes, so for Cafe, to expand on programming, to kind of root us and what we wanted to show the community of what we are capable of doing for the community of residents, clients of Cafe. And not only what it was able to do for us, we're secondary, what it was able to do for our clients, for the residents, for our youth. We received awards, 2 awards in employment, now in our 2nd award in education, a recent award in maternal health. And another one in health and wellness. And we were able to serve directly, without repeated numbers, 813 participants. I did the math before I came over. And so when you look at some that do duplicate services and wraparound services, that's even larger. But impacting 813 people. And these are 813 completions within the programs of those 6 awards that we had is absolutely amazing. Yes.
That's incredible. And I'm assuming, so the doula graduates that you guys, including you.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that also.
No.
It wasn't.
To be honest, because that's one of our active ones right now. So we're in 2 active open awards within it. So next year, that number
Okay.
will even increase. So this is just from the 4 completed
So that's
program.
not including the
That is
doulas.
that is not
Wow.
including the doula, and it's not including. We were awarded this last round in the education space, and I don't think you know this, Sam. We are able to build an African American legacy museum in our building.
Shut up.
Yes, so
I
we have that
know.
second floor, so we're going
Yeah.
to be able to revamp a part of the second floor and make a museum along with the annex piece of it that's going to be at Broganville Farm.
That's
so,
you know,
yes.
that's a part of our QOL too. That's a part of our
I know.
goals and strategies.
When we were in there Friday, I was like, somebody write down the museum, because we know that that's coming.
Oh,
Yep. So we were just awarded
wow.
that through this. And so the
Yeah.
purpose behind that, spreading the history, as our
Yep.
history is trying to be erased.
Yep.
But also this history and all of these things can be found right in our community.
Yes.
And once everything's developed, we have such great relationships with the school systems, for kids to be able to take field trips
Yes.
right in their community. So with the museum,
Yes.
our orchard, go right over to Broganville Farm. We have
Yes.
our nature park out there, this annex of the museum that's going to be out there, plus all of the things that they can do. A whole adventure right here on the Far East Side.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that too. And you guys do such a good job at serving everybody. Like I
Yes.
mean, everybody across
Yes.
all ages,
Yes.
across even all cultures.
That's right.
Has this funding been able to support in that way too? Like all of the different cultures we represent and have to serve out
it
here.
has. It has, especially for our Haitian residents on the Far East Side, and also what it's been able to do too. With the focus area of this is for Black Far East Side residents, is what we
Yeah.
write. So we were able to leverage other funds and leverage it further in other areas of other funds that we have for our Latinx residents on the Far East Side and some of those others, and to build upon this and say this is some of the work that we're already doing.
Yeah. So looking forward, because I know we were talking with the last guest about how we're in a very special year.
Yep.
We're in a special year.
Yeah.
Special things are happening.
Yes.
And not in a good way.
Yep.
So like, how do you see the sustainability of these things you've been able to build over these years? Has this funds kind of helped you build a foundation?
It
has.
has.
It? Do you see you all being able to continue these
Yes.
things?
It has. It's built a foundation, and luckily when this took place, what we're seeing now wasn't necessarily happening at the level that we
Yeah.
are seeing it now. So we were
Yeah.
really able to stabilize that foundation and show, our first awards of these grants were 2 years. So
Yeah.
this is what we did in 2 years. And then we were able to continue on the programming from trusted funders that we work with, because they saw the importance. So we are at a spot where we were able to sustain it, and kind of grow some of it, but then also being cautious. You don't want to grow too much and then you can't sustain that. So we're at a place now of sustaining and maintaining what we have, but none of this would be possible in those programs that focus right in the areas for the people that are being attacked right now. And because we were successful with it, we have been able to continue to build funding off of that.
So I think one of the things I want to hear you touch on, because I haven't asked this question in a while, but it's like, what has been unique about this IAA QLI experience, especially somebody with as much experience in the nonprofit space as you have, going through this experience with the IAA QLI, what has been unique about this process and special about it?
What I'll say, one thing is unique. We were able to say these are the needs that we see in our community. This is what we like to do, and we were able to write it out exactly how we saw it based upon the categories that were offered. And either you take it or not. And so luckily for us, the majority of ours were received and we were able to get funding. So as we first started speaking, I talked about that trust-based philanthropy that was really rooted in this initiative. And that is something that is unique. Also, something that is unique is the reporting process.
Yeah.
When you live in this space, some of this reporting could just be, absolutely crazy. And it can deter you from not wanting to do it ever again. And we, and we're a nonprofit. I have over 30 different funding sources. So when you look at each one of these are typically tied with the reports. The reporting process is not a scary one either. The overall organization, from the local urban league here, all the way filtering up to the national urban league that's kind of, managing this entire process has been great to work with. The communication has been great. So if there's questions, if I need an extension, things like that, we're able to communicate that, because sometimes the administrative work can get in the way of the actual physical work, and there's overlap with that. And so I think that they understood that, and they made the process where it wasn't just so consuming that was more than the actual work out to the community.
And it just, in a very you fashion, you all were able to place like fiscal sponsor for smaller organizations with these funds as well, right?
Just for one. Yep, this one. Yep, we did one organization, 2 grants for that one organization.
Okay,
yes.
Wonderful. I love to include that, because not everybody has been in that position or, had the intentionality or forethought to support other smaller organizations in the community. And I love that they encourage that kind of collaboration amongst folks. Have you guys been able to build meaningful partnerships too, like through this?
Oh my goodness, we have. And with one of the questions that it asks in the report is, how much dollars have you spent with Black organizations or Black businesses? And so knowing there is a level of accountability there, that's not necessarily an issue for us, because we like to support Far East Side, minorities, all of that. But when I think about other partners that have received it, knowing that you have to be intentional of how you are spreading this money in the businesses that you're working with. So we were able to build new partnerships, bless businesses. One was my favorite, Nap or Nothing. So with one of our education awards and with the youth and opportunities of taking them all kind of different places, and we want to identify our chaperones and adults. So typically we would get like shirts made or something like that. But we went down to Nap or Nothing and we purchased, hoodies and T-shirts for our volunteers and our parents, so they can be identified. So thinking strategically of how other businesses can be blessed as well, because I know that was a part of the intention of those funds while still doing the work. So I could have gone online and ordered from t-shirts.com. But we'd rather work local with a Black-owned business doing the same thing. So that's just one example.
I love that. So before we go, tell us how people can get involved with Cafe, with the programming. What you guys have something exciting coming up, like any of those things.
I think Cafe, I will say it, not that I think, we do events really well. And you know this, with your collaboration, with your role of many hats that you wear in the community, but the Far East Side Community Council, you serving on the president. We have our annual Far East Side Festival that is coming up on July the 25th, which is a Saturday. Maybe you'll float that on the screen or something. We celebrate so many different cultures. We have Haiti Flag Day. That's something that came under my leadership. That's taking place next Monday. In September, we will do our annual Hispanic Heritage Festival. Our Soul Food Sundays series is coming back. That's every 4th Sunday of starting in June, not July, because we have the festival in July, but June, August, and September, every 4th Sunday at Cafe from 3 to 5 p.m. Free food, just connection, kickback for the community. We do events well. We do so many things for the youth. Look for in the wintertime our elf party. We do our Festival of Lights at kickoff in December, where you can come out to our grounds and a beautiful light display. So I always like to leave the community with what we're doing. And then something that is just absolutely amazing, in partnership with Dominic Dorsey, Melanin in May. So this is our 4th year, fourth year, I believe, hosting Melanin in May at Cafe over Memorial Day weekend. That's Saturday. Always a great event. And again, with the focus on Black community, Black businesses, and support there.
And so tell us the contact information for Cafe.
Yes, I'm rambling on about all the events and things. So you could come out to Cafe, 8902 East 38th Street, right at the corner of 38th and Post Road. You can connect with us. Our phone number is 317-890 3288. We are very active on social media, Cafe Indie. You'll see our logo in the little profile pic.
Yeah.
The same thing on Instagram. It's Cafe Indie. We are on LinkedIn. Our website is cafeindie.org.
Yeah.
So we're not hard to find.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us.
Yes,
Super
this is
excited
exciting.
to have you here. Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you all for watching another episode of the 6 Pillars in Action podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Samantha Douglas. You can like, share, subscribe, please. Follow. Definitely find us on social media at IAAQLI. You can watch more episodes at YouTube as well at IAAQLI. And until next time, we'll see you.
Thanks for watching the 6 Pillars in Action podcast. The stories and insights you hear on this podcast are just one part of a much bigger movement focused on improving the quality of life for African Americans throughout Indianapolis. To learn more about the work, the impact, and the organizations helping to drive change, be sure to visit the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative website. Follow IAAQLI on social media and sign up for the newsletter to stay up to date on the latest news and opportunities. Transformation is happening, and staying connected is one of the best ways to be part of it. We'll see you next time on 6 Pillars in Action.